Welcome. This is a Drupal usability meeting for 17th March 2023. I'm Aaron McHale, sharing my screen, and I'm moderating the meeting today. Joining us is also Ralph Kohler, Simon Helsted, Offer Shaw, and Quinn Pam. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat, so for anybody who wants to, you can also type in the chat. And yeah, we've got a small group today, but a good mix of front and back end people. So I think the first issue we're going to look at is issue number 2791693, which is remove sample date from date field error message and title attribute. And issue summary is that back-end date format is different to front-end date format, which depends on users local. It is not possible to display sample date format correctly on error message on fields in description generic form elements in Drupal 7. There is no sample date error message description either. And the idea is to remove it. So basically right now, you can see that there's the error message you get is the date is invalid. Please enter date in a format. And then it gives you the year, month, day, and then the time. But I think that I guess the idea is that like that might not be consistent with what the user's selected, if I understand it correctly. So the idea is just to shorten the error message to say the date is invalid. Please enter a date in the correct format. And then there's some other examples, screenshots down here. Yeah, so we can see an example where somebody's got the format set to day, month, year. And in the description, there's the format is showing in year, month, day. Or sorry, they've got theirs set to month, day, year, and the description is showing in year, month, and day. And I guess that is particularly problematic because these fields are being populated, or I guess they're being rendered by the user's browser. So yeah, I think it's the issue summary is trying to point out if the user in their browser has a different formatting than what the site has, that format that it suggests is not going to be particularly helpful. And we can see again in these screenshots, you can kind of see the same problem illustrated here. So is there any questions about this issue right now? Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Oh, okay. What do people think about the proposed changes, just shortening it, basically shortening the message so there isn't an example format? Go ahead, Ralph.
There are several problems in detail, and I was not sure. For one, the proposed solution is using please, and according to the link I've posted, please should be avoided in the messaging inside the admin area.
Right.
Then if you could go to into an example, go to content.
Yeah.
And add
actually,
content. Oops, oh no.
the site is broken again. Did you add yeah, okay. Oh, there we go. Is there a field that has an example date on it?
And now go just add oh no, go to content, not add content, sorry, just to content to the top level.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
Then my first article to edit.
Oh, okay.
And then, oh
no. See, it works occasionally, but then it doesn't work.
Maybe reload.
Yeah, let me try reload without clearing the cache as well. Nope. I guess we can still see is there a field on here we can see an example of?
Yeah, problem basically is the following. to trigger the error, the only way is to remove the time completely to clear it. If you just change the date to another, for one, if you try to enter for a month a value of 13, for example, it's automatically corrected to 12. If you enter a day, for example, 33, it's automatically corrected to 31. And in the year, in case you give type in, for example, year 3000 and go on to save for the article, then it's it become an inline HTML5 error, not from Drupal, an error that the data is out of the range. So you're unable to submit the form. And then if you empty the time field and then submit, then you get to that error message. And it's misleading because basically the only possible error is the time that is incorrect, and the error message refers to the date. And both fields, the date field and the time field, have a red error outline then.
We just put today's date in because it's yeah, so you can see we get this message up here, and then as you said, the
and if you take a look underneath, the description says the time. There it refers to the time. In the message, it refers to the date. And you have date and time fields, and that is.
So I guess there's a couple. I mean,
I could quickly apply the patch, then we can take a look.
Sure.
It's the old state.
Where's
the...
Hey, I have a question on that. Will you roll the mouse over on the field? On the auto field? Yes, right there.
Yeah.
You see the format right there, the tip?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's different from what I have. Yeah.
So it's kind of confusing too for the user.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if I think this certainly comes from an era where browsers didn't have these date and time pickers, whereas now it's quite common for a browser to have a date and time picker. Probably in the past you had to just manually enter the date and time. So I wonder if now we could even recommend that we don't need this tooltip. I wonder if that comes from if it's even says on the issue if that comes from. Let's have a look at the patch. Because it might be that's obviously I think that's probably something that is coming from Drupal core. I don't see it on the patch if it's there's nothing obvious there, but we could recommend that we remove this tooltip. I wonder if it comes from if it's just the title tag on the field. Yeah, so it's adding a title attribute.
But I think that's also another thing with titles. It's some accessibility thing. Too much titles.
Yeah, I believe titles aren't necessarily recommended. So we could recommend that we remove the title attributes. Does anybody
change the format? Or to change the format to you have one format to make consistent.
Yeah. I think the problem is so the browser, when the browser renders these fields, the format that appears is based on what the user selected. So for instance, right now, because in my browser I'm using the format day, month, year, that's what's going to appear, but somebody else using the format, like month, day, year, they would see this in a different layout. So I think the problem is that Drupal can't know how the browser is rendering this. So I feel like we can't reliably provide a time format that makes, or a date format that makes sense.
Like for instance, when I look at the same site, the same page, I see it as date, stop, month, stop, year.
So you see, you don't see the slashes like I do.
Yeah.
That's dependent on the browser. The implementation varies between Firefox, Edge, Safari, and Chrome.
Yeah.
With this, even with the same user and the same person using it, so it's more on the end of the browser than other way around than Drupal.
Yeah. So I guess to me it seems like that we can't. Yeah, the issue is, recommending, or is it that we remove the issue, saying, okay, well, we should remove and actually it does in the patch, so it just has the title. It actually removes it from the title as well.
If you reload the page now, create a new article, please. Sorry.
Okay.
No idea why that happens.
Article.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we can see now the tooltip or the title just as a date, and I guess, yeah, time, it just says time. And I wonder, what do I have to, how much do I have to fill in? Title, probably text. Is that everything?
Yep.
Yeah, the also field date is invalid. Please enter date in the correct format. So I think we can, yeah, so it seems like one recommendation we can make is just, not have the title attributes would be completely pointless. So we don't really need, I don't think we need them. Let me just check if they get labeled, if they're properly labeled, because that's the only reason I could think to keep them. Yeah, so they have an associated label. So there's a date label here, so that's fine. So we don't even need those title attributes. And then, yeah, I agree with what you said earlier, Ralph, that we shouldn't have the word please in here.
Yeah, one thing what I see when I look at the HTML there, the value is actually in ISO date standard format, so it's year dash month dash day. So that's how it's stored in the input. So that's kind of it's up to the browser to set that in the correct format. So that's but that's something that the user can't fix if there is a date picker. But it's like the format is kind of correct, correctly informed there, but it's kind of not something that is useful for the user.
Yeah, so in chat, Quinn recommends or suggests the date is invalid. Input date must be in the specified format.
Problem is, if you scroll down, the date is in the correct format.
Yeah.
Because if you go strictly what is the error message and you start thinking about, okay, the date is wrong, how do I change it? I would try changing the date instead of changing the time. That was causing the error.
Yes. So I guess we could recommend either some kind of error message that covers both, or we could recommend a different error message depending on if it's the date or the time that's invalid.
Is it possible? I think for a date time field to have separate error messages?
Well, as Benji likes to say, we don't necessarily have to worry about the implementation. But I suspect because they are two separate fields technically, so I suspect it probably is possible. Like in the HTML, there are two separate form fields, so it may very well be.
Yeah, actually, the authored on is the combination of those two, and the authored on, it has two separate inputs. It has one that is labeled date and the other that is labeled time.
Yeah.
So if we keep that referencing authored on, which is useful actually because then it can be found on the form where it's the authored on, because it's probably collapsed. Oh, actually, it's there. Yeah, the visible label is authored on for those two, or actually it's the title.
Yeah, and each of these
label. Yeah, so but we might want just keep it because it's easier to find that one, I think. But then just to say that it's either one of those. And it's also possible that somebody uses some kind of a weird kind of old-fashioned browser where it shows those not as date pickers, but as just ISO format string. So then
I think I think if I think about Drupal's recommended browsers, I don't think we recommend any of the older browsers now. I know we dropped IE support, so
it might be something like maybe links or something like that. So at least, well, some visually impaired people actually also use text-only browsers. So I don't know how they work.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself.
Yeah, I can actually from the editing the HTML code, I can generate that same error message by trying to enter something like like month 15 or something like that. So yeah, it's if the kind of the date picker doesn't work, then it's also it also generated from incorrect date format. So it's not so yeah.
Simo, you were able to trigger an error with a wrong date?
Yeah, by editing the input value in HTML.
Okay, I see. Because that I tried it in the browser and as in via the interface, and that was impossible. But yeah, okay.
So I've added so date or time. I guess for this issue, we probably could recommend one error message and then oops. And then perhaps because I'm the problem is like we should be highlighting the specific field form element that is invalid. So maybe I have a funny feeling there might actually be an issue around this already. But maybe that's something we recommend as a follow-up issue for so that it actually highlights the specific element that has the error, not both of them.
But when you change the error message to authored for date and time, would it make sense to change the description as well to date and time, the date and time that node was created? Because at the moment it just says the time that the node was created.
Possibly, I think that is probably a different issue because that would be specific to the authored on field. So if you added a different date time field, you could set the description to something else. But yeah, that might be something that we could also recommend as a follow-up issue. Something we noticed is like the description here isn't you know, could say date and time or something.
Yeah. That authored on is also kind of a special in that way that if you leave it blank, then it kind of sits now.
Yeah.
But then if it's missing either one of the two, then it's kind of generates that error. So it requires either neither or both.
So just to focus in on this for a second, what do we think? I'm just thinking, because again, the second part also says date. Quinn also suggested the, let me see. So Quinn's suggestion was something like so I guess we could say input date, but we could also say input date or time. Input date isn't. So I feel like that's longer. I don't know if do we need to, I don't think we need to say date or time multiple multiple times.
Maybe both inputs must be in the specified format. Or both input values. But
if we want to say short, we could say correct format must be used.
What if we take out date or time from here? The authored on maybe field. What about this? I'm not sure about the word specify because we're not really like maybe some fields would, but like in this case, we're not really like specifying a value, but we don't really know if the field is specifying a value, like a specific value. It might not describe what that is, even though it probably should.
and still it's unspecific because you don't know if you made the mistake inside the date field or the time field or in both of them.
Yeah. What about correct format? Must be a valid format. I've seen us use this before, like valid format. I've seen that being used across Drupal. So does that really need to be a new sentence? That probably could just be a comma. Because then we could also recommend a follow-up issue for being more specific, like so that because it would be good to be more specific and say, oh, it's the time field or it's the date field, but I wonder if that's more something like that could be done in a follow-up. So I feel like that's going to be more work technically. And I have a feeling there's an issue about that anyway. Okay, how do people feel about this? Is that do people feel that's an improvement on what was suggested? If I go back to here, I think it probably is.
The only nitpick I might have is, for me, could you switch back to the other tab for a second? Yeah, thank you. The authored on field is invalid. A single field for me as a user, I thought I have two fields within authored on. From my perspective, I don't know what's behind or the underlying architecture. I just see two different fields, and here it is talked about one field.
What about just then? What about just authored on isn't that? I also remember somebody talking about how we shouldn't use the word invalid because it has certain other meanings and connotations. So, what is I'm trying to remember what the more appropriate what more appropriate would be.
1 second.
I'm just going to trigger another kind of error and see, like, if I don't input a value for, say, title, I might try and save this. Okay. Can I just how am I going to get it to trigger without useful value? Even like my browser is using the word please, and that bothers me. Find a way to trigger like another field. This surely has like a maximum length. Let's just make it really long and see what happens. Oh wow, okay. That's I clearly didn't hit the maximum length there.
Yeah, I think it's
try again.
255 or something like that, because I know somebody mentioned they had created a patch to allow it to be longer.
I'm just gonna see how long. Oh, it's they won't even let me type longer. Okay. Okay, never mind. That's not gonna work either.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say about the word invalid?
It's from what I understand, it's not recommended to use because it has other connotations and meanings. Like it in the past has been used to describe potentially people with disabilities or people with certain health conditions. So I think the idea is to try and avoid using the word invalid.
Or incorrect also, right?
Yeah. Value is maybe that. Authored on value is not correct. The date and time must be a valid format.
When I go back to the issue, I kind of like the action verb to tell the user what to do. So we can use
Yeah.
enter or input a valid that date format or input correct date format or
So if I switch this
enter.
around,
Yeah.
or even just well, I could use the word valid there. Try to avoid using the word correct twice.
Right. Enter date and time, valid date format or something like that.
Yeah.
And the first part, you can cut it short. Instead of using value is not correct, you could use value is incorrect.
It's not. Is it? Would it be enough to just say enter a valid date and time? Because it's not necessarily about the format. It's more about like what the field allows.
Yeah,
Authored on value is incorrect. Enter a valid date and time.
Yeah, I kind of like that, but I would take out replace the comma with the period to make the sentence short and direct.
Yeah, I kind of prefer that too. Okay. Is there any does everybody agree with this or any concerns?
Well, I just compared the behavior. Like I added some date fields to basic page on that site and compared how it behaves with only date and with date time. So I made a test there. And the funny thing is that if you can force incorrect date, like through HTML to only date, then it also complains about like in the browser. It says that please fill this field. But with that date and time, it goes to that error message with incorrect date. And if the field is not, if the date field is not required, and you fill in an incorrect date there, then it just kind of leaves it blank, or even deletes the date that was added before. So their value, it's their value before the size 12. Just you need to add.
I just need to add a value in here.
Yeah.
Let's purposely do it wrong. See what it does. Oh, it didn't complain about that.
Yeah, it just erases the date, or actually that
I think because maybe because I set it to today, so if I clear it and okay, but then I add let's pretend it's the 40th of the month. Oh, is it still going to want me to put a value in? But it should use the value there. Okay. You put you to today, but then this is set to that. Okay. Yeah, it still corrected it. So I don't know how to get it to.
Yeah, because it works differently if it doesn't have the time in it, and I think it probably stores.
So let me try it on this field then. Oh. Yep, it complained about that. Okay, I mean that's similar to what we saw. Yeah, it's interesting that it didn't complain about when I tried, like it fixed this one when it was only date, but not this one. That's interesting. I wonder if that's my browser doing something clever there. Okay, it's interesting. But yeah, are we is everybody happy with this, or is this what we can recommend on the issue?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's improvement at least.
Yeah, so I'll post on the issue recommending this. Actually, let me just copy it over so that I don't lose it. Get to the end of this. And I will also recommend that, or I'll see if I can find a follow-up issue about these being the
More specific.
validation be more specific. Also, remove title, the title attribute, and maybe there's something about this description that again we can find a follow-up issue for.
Yeah.
What would that be? Nodes, creation, dates, time, description. Okay, cool, that's good. We got through that issue. I'm just gonna see, because there is some other sort of there's quite a few wording related issues on here. I'm mindful that we only have 10 minutes left, but perhaps we can quickly have a look at one of these. Let's see. I wonder if this one is maybe going to be quick to look at. Just want to double check this to see if we can actually look at this. Okay, so issue number 754736, update wording of available menus description text in content type configuration. The description for the available menu setting is a bit awkward, and it says the menus available to place links in for this content type. Oh, that is hard to read. And it's got concepts produced, and the proposed resolution to change to content created of this type can be placed as links in the selected available menus. And we can see a screenshot here of that applied, and I can just go into a content type. Yeah, like article, for instance. Close this. And if I come to menu settings, and you can see that here, the menus available to place links in for this content type, which is very difficult to parse. So this is, let me just copy this. This is the proposed text, and I'll just put it into here. Okay.
Yeah, well, the first thing I noticed is that the word created, that's unnecessary.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Content. So content of this type can be placed as links in this link.
What are other ways of placing content into menus except for links? So I think
I don't think there. I think it is just links because
yeah. So is that self-evident, or do we need that word links there?
I don't think. What about can just be placed in? I'm tempted to flip that around, so
Yeah,
can be placed in the
and also availables, because if we have the list of
selected menus. Can be placed in the selected menus or the menus selected.
In the
Is that? I think it's better to have it selected menus or menus selected. I feel like menu selected is maybe better. Maybe reads a little better.
Yeah, for me as a non-native English speaker, I think for me it's easier to read as selected menus.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
I agree with Simo.
Yeah, I
Also a
agree.
non-native
That's
speaker.
Okay. Content of this type can be placed in the selected menus. Yeah. Yeah, I can recommend that if we're happy with that. And somehow we got through that one in 5 minutes, and it took us 40 minutes for the other one. So I don't know. That's a good evened out there. Okay, I'll just copy this into the issue here.
There might be another fast one.
Yeah, let's see.
If you scroll up, Banu also posted a link. It's also a one-liner.
Ooh, yeah. We're just smashing through these today, aren't we? This is 2969406. Fix the incorrect message after resetting password. After the users reset their password, they are shown a message. The message is, you have just used your one-time login link. It is no longer necessary to use this. It is no longer necessary to use this link to log in. Please change your password. As it's a one-time login link, it's not possible to use it again to log in rather than necessary, which the message currently says. Patch corrects the message. Let's see what the change does actually. While I wait on GitLab to load. Okay, so it's changing one word from necessary to possible there.
But there's again the problem with the please for that.
Yeah.
issue.
How do I triggering that one is going to be a tricky one actually. I don't think I can, but we can at least let me copy this and I will I'll paste it on the issue down here. Let's do it in real time. There's no longer possible to use this link to log in. So okay, let's you must set your password. It's not really set. Well, is it setting it or is it resetting it? Because this is usually, yeah, this could either be triggered by registration or by password reset, I think. So
It's set. I've also posted a suggestion.
Oh,
in the
sorry,
chat.
I've not been paying attention to the chat. My apologies.
No worries.
And I see you also suggested, you posted information about invalid, so I'll just read it out. So use invalid is a homonym. It can mean either incorrect or a person with chronic illness. Issue because of the dual use of the word, the definition overlaps, and substitute chronic illness. So yeah, that's a good case where we probably shouldn't use, why we shouldn't use invalid. And then your suggestion was, how about you have successfully logged in with your one-time login link, set your new password now because it is not possible to use your link second time. Let me just copy this and paste it into here.
There's only one problem I've noticed, successfully or success. In the interface text style guide, it says avoid emotionally charged verbs and adjectives. For example, it is expected and normal that an admin is able to install a module, so there is no real success in it.
Yeah, I would just, maybe we could just take out the word successfully, because I mean, we're just kind of saying, so you've logged in with your one-time login link, which I think is slightly better than the above, because yeah, the action was they logged in. Set your new password now, because it is not possible to use this link a second time. We could even, I wonder if I'm just gonna copy this, and I wonder if we could do even just take out the word because. Any other thoughts on this?
Win posted another suggestion.
Thank you. I
think it's a the chat says the suggestion is the one-time login link is expired. You must reset your password. I think it's a different thing because it does have expiration. So it's kind of a separate thing, expiration and being used. So it's I think it's a bit different thing here.
Yeah, this appears on, once the user has clicked the link, I think this is the message that appears on the user edit form. When they click the link, that's where they're taken. So we state that they've logged in. The one-time login link, I guess it has technically expired. Should we? Okay, I'm mindful that it is, we're at the hour, so if we can get this done, otherwise we'll have to fall over to next week. So if people have any thoughts that we could make a recommendation on any of these four.
I like the third one.
Yeah, I kind of like the third one too.
Me too.
Okay, let's do that. Wow, we got through 3 issues in one meeting. That's unheard of. Somehow we got through 2 issues in the last 10 minutes. That's got to be an even better record. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. If Quinn, could you I don't know if is this your first meeting that you've joined us at?
No, it was in my first meeting. I attend several meetings.
Okay.
Before.
Okay, sure, that's fine. I just want to check if we have your Drupal.org username, but if you could just maybe post it in the chat for me, and that way we can make sure you get issue credit for attending. I know we've got everybody else's usernames, so unless are you on the meeting? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just Asa left, but I post my
okay,
username.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's great. Thanks, thanks everybody, and we'll be back next week.
Thank you. It was fun.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.